Hi, welcome to the Screening Room, and this special edition is that we are going to review Patty Jenkins' follow-up to the wonderful Wonder Woman 1984. Stay tuned, and as usual, spoiler alerts. Wonder Woman 1984. Well, after all that's said and done, and the rumours of confused test audiences that forced the studio to do reshoots, there is no denying that Patty Jenkins' highly anticipated Wonder Woman 1984 should go straight to video in the abyss of a $2 discount bin. Yeah, you see, Wonder Woman 1984 has very little Wonder Woman.
Excuse me, are you waiting for someone?
No. Barbara, my life hasn't been what you probably think it has.
Many times I thought I was seeing a Hallmark holiday special directed by the great Tommy Wiseau.
You are tearing me apart, Lisa!
Laden with cheap cliche tropes, with a budget to do maybe one or two action sequences. When the trailer came out, I was, to be fair, very excited. The soundtrack of a remixed New Order and Blue Monday scream 80s. And yet not a single 1980s music was in the film. The sequel had potential. After coming from the first Wonder Woman that took in $822 million, you would expect that this film would do The Empire Strikes Back and blow us away with a better storyline. But instead, it gave us a disappointing film that made Plan 9 from Outer Space a masterpiece.
What do you think will be the next obstacle the Earth people will put in our way?
Well, as long as they can think, we'll have our problems.
Patty Jenkins complained of studio interference. Who wouldn't complain of studio interference? The creative blockade of Zack Snyder's creative team made her life a living hell on the first Wonder Woman. So the studio gave her her wish. They gave her more control, and obviously she ignored Zack Snyder's creative team, and the result is this mess of a shitstorm. The film is over-bloated, overrun, and cheesy as hell. The film starts off with 11 minutes. Yes, 11 minutes of flashback, and we see little Dinah in Paradise Island, Themyscira, or whatever bloody island is, and in an imitation Wipeout TV competition that she tried to cheat to win. We are also taught that cheating is wrong. Well, maybe that's important. To make matters worse, Gal Gadot's voice over introduction of Paradise Island and the flashback feels like a last-minute ditch to add an extra action sequence for no reason whatsoever, just to make things look good and for nothing else. Then the film forces us by telling us that it's absolutely 1980s, with some of the worst directing, blocking that I've ever seen in my life. The strange display of 1980s sequence and the mind-boggling of colors really making sure that the characters were so out of place that no one knows where they were really walking. Everyone was like looking ready for their marks. Am I walking here? Am I walking there? Am I supposed to be there? It seems so forced and not natural. There were just way too many people, way too neon lights, way too colorful spandex for me to see, and it's so cartoony, and I swear I thought I was watching a Batman and Robin TV episodes from the 1960s. The fight choreography was so bad, so atrocious. I wasn't very sure what the tone of the movie was anymore. Was it an action adventure? Or was it Scooby-Doo mysteries? Anyway, so later I learned that Dinah was some expert in a museum. Yeah, sure, why not? She can be an expert in anything. I mean, she's a few hundred years old, so her knowledge should be good enough to do something. But wouldn't that be a red flag if someone that young knows so much? Wouldn't a museum ask a lot of questions? Whatever. Then Dinah begins to develop a friendship with a co-worker named Barbara, played by marginally talented Kristen Wiig. Dinah's life as a museum curator and an undercover superhero is disrupted by the arrival of what is best described as a sex toy disguised as a magic rock. Yeah, you heard me. Is the art department trying to tell us something? You see, this magic rock grants us wishes, and Dinah wishes to see Steve Trevor again, even though she just spent about 1 week with him 70 years ago. This forced, unfunny, clumsy character named Barbara also had some fringe benefits. She also wished to be like Dinah, beautiful, smart, cool, and sexy. So she suddenly gets a power of confidence beyond her wildest dream. Her newfound superpowers now include that she can walk in high heels, dress in tight-fitting clothes, put on makeup, get men to oogle with her in sexy eyes, and command the male attention in the room. That's a very good superpower to have. Really? Oh, did I also mention that some of Wonder Woman's powers are also given to Barbara? Why not just throw that in, since the writers can't think of anything else? So anyway, things take turn for worse when this wannabe tycoon called Maxwell Lord, and over the top by this guy named Pedro Pascal, which I think he should have just stuck to playing the Mandalorian. He strolls into the story with an ego the size of Donald Trump's hairpiece.
Except, I like to party.
Oh my god, you're such a good dancer.
You like Latin dancing?
I love it. I know.
And transform from a businessman to a villain far too quickly. We never get to see the reason why, and it seems so shallow that his character never really accomplished anything else other than trying to be bad. What attracted me to Wonder Woman in the first place, and the first movie I'm telling you, is not only because Gal Gadot was quite good in that film, but her femininity and the strength that she showed in the first movie was pretty awesome. A lot of emotional exchange and quite good action and tense sequences. But in this film, 1984, it's just an utterly poor mess, poorly developed. The plot is so contrived, and with this magic rock / magic paw, it feels lazy. The writing is just confusing. You know, superhero films are supposed to be a superhero fighting with a monster or an alien, but a magic rock? Shouldn't that be Aladdin's territory, to wish for something? Anyway, so Dinah wished that Steve Trevor were to come back from the dead, sort of, and this time he comes back in another man's body.
I wish we had more time.
Why did you say that? Don't say that to me. You don't even know me.
Yes, I do.
Now this is the problem that I have. It's really ridiculous. I mean, Steve's soul takes over another man's body, and the first thing they do is to go back to his apartment to have sex.
Don't want to.
So let's not.
Okay.
Okay.
Let's just stay here.
Let's just stay here.
I mean, I'm no expert, but isn't this rape? Dinah had sex with this guy without his consent. So is it okay if a female does it, but not okay if a male does it? Anyway, Wonder Woman is supposed to be standing for good versus evil. But what is she doing with Steve Trevor? Isn't that contradictory? I mean, she's supposed to be good, right? And she sacrifices that just because she doesn't want to lose him? I mean, this is supposed to be a superhero movie, right? Why is it a romance movie all of a sudden? Anyway, I mean, no denying the chemistry between Dinah and Steve was fantastic, but I just can't understand her desire. The motivation is just wrong. I mean, it's been 70 years since she last saw Steve Trevor in World War I. Hasn't she moved on?
What did you call it? Sway? It was just sway.
You're awfully close.
That's what it's all about.
I mean, it's so predictable if a female character is so fixated with a male character. But this romance that's supposed to have potential and is supposed to have an expansive universe seems so claustrophobic in 1984. Come on, guys. this thing really proved to me one thing. Director Patty Jenkins can direct, but she cannot write. She has writing credits in this movie. So here's her advice. Leave the writing to the professionals, Patty Jenkins. Later in the film, we've discovered that imitation Donald Trump wants more power and he steals the magic stone. And get this. He wishes to be the stone.
I wish to be you, the dream stone itself.
What the hell? He wishes, I want to be the stone. I mean, no. Okay, look, this movie doesn't make sense. If the stone grants a wish, it is the will of the stone to grant you that wish. Now the stone is Maxwell Lord. He now grants wishes to people at will. I mean, at this point of time, you just do things for the sake of doing it. And the curse of the stone is if you do one wish, the stone will take something back from you. It's your selfish desire that you wish for, you will have to pay the price. In order for the wish to activate, you have to touch the stone. Hence, now you have to touch Maxwell Lord.
Tell me again, you wish you had more help?
Yes, I wish I had more help, but there are just too many calls to take.
Hi. I'm sorry to bother you. I'm meant to be interviewing at an accounting firm.
You're hired!
The plot is just going all around. It's so fluid until you have no idea what the hell to do anymore. Anyway, so Dinah and Steve goes to Cairo to stop Maxwell Lord for his greedy whatever stuff. And are you ready for this? How did they get from Washington DC to Cairo? By stealing a fully fueled fighter jet from a museum. A museum. Look, I'm no expert in planes, but a museum that has a plane should not be fully fueled, let alone commissioned to fly. I mean, Dinah works at a museum and I'm sure there are many security cameras. Don't you think this will be a red flag if they really know that she stole the plane? And furthermore, how can there be an airport right in front of the museum? I mean, it's so stupid. Plus the fact, how can Steve Trevor fly a fighter jet when his knowledge of planes was World War I planes? This is just lazy writing. And while they were in the air, radar is trying to find them and Dinah makes the plane invisible by rubbing her hands. Oh my god! She's saying that my father used to make the island disappear, now I can make the plane disappear. At this point, I'm convinced that my students can even write a better script. And the biggest failure of this place is from Washington DC to Cairo, it's around about 9,369 kilometers away. The plane that they chose to fly is a ferry-range Pannovia Tornado jet, which can only travel 4,264 kilometers. So pray tell, how did they get from Washington DC to Cairo without refueling? They would most probably die in the middle of the ocean. And the seating arrangement of the plane. In the film, they're side by side, but the actual plane is front and front. What gives? Do your research, guys. Do your research. And while they were flying in the middle of the sky, all of a sudden there are fireworks all over the place. And Steve Trevor is in awe, looking at fireworks. Oh, I've never seen this before. Steve Trevor, guys, the first fireworks for 4th of July was 1977. And Steve Trevor was in World War I in 1917. He should have seen fireworks. This is so stupid. Anyway, while in Cairo, Dinah and Steve find Max Lord. They're trying to locate him. And guess how they found him? In the middle of the road while they were passing by each other.
That was him. That was Max Lord.
Get rid of them, please.
You happen to find the person that you're looking for on the road? How many times have you missed your friends when you guys were waiting at the bus stop or at the MRT station or something like that? This is horrible writing. To make it worse, after a big fight sequence with some illogical physics of things flying around that doesn't have any gravity, and Dinah begins to know that she loses her power. So when they try to stop Maxwell Lord from doing his master deed, they need to return back to Washington DC. and they confront Maxwell Lord at the White House while he tried to blackmail the president by giving him the technology of the satellite. Then they meet Barbara, who all of a sudden displays this Wonder Woman power and beats Wonder Woman's ass, and she is defeated. Max and Barbara leaves for Washington and leaves to this satellite island whereby he can transmit his wishes via the air. And while they are there, imitation Barbie girl Barbara says she wants to wish to become an apex predator. Look, Barbara has already gotten a wish. She is already Wonder Woman. And Maxwell Lord grants her another wish. So what happened to that one wish, one person rule? Whatever, doesn't make sense. And second, she wanted to be an apex predator and all she could choose is a cheetah?
You serious?
Damn, that's stupid. Look, I'm no Bear Grylls from National Geographic and I don't pretend one. But here are the top 3 apex predators listed by National Geographic. Number 1, a killer whale. Number 2, the tiger. And number 3, the great white shark. I got news for you, Cheetah. You are not even top 10. But you know, I'll pay top dollar to see Wonder Woman fight a killer whale in an MMA match. I think that would be top billing, you know. Now, let's get back to the story. So, imitation Donald Trump becomes rich and powerful and he wants more money. He's granting wishes like nobody's business, and he hijacks the satellite connection in this island and pleads to the world through their satellite sets to grant them wishes. What's your wish? What's your wish? So they explain in the film that Maxwell Lord can touch people through the satellite signal.
It's all yours for the taking! I wish that I never had. My father was great to me. And I take your health and your strength. Give her your rage and your prowess. And I take your power. And I take your life force. Yes.
Fine, whatever. You know, I was wondering, this is an absolute stupid logic. Now, if this film is set in 1984, in the 1980s, the population by World Health Organization states that the total was 4.5 billion people. Not all of them own television sets, and not all of them speak English. So how does he get that done? Whatever. Anyway, a weakened, frail Dinah knows that she has to renounce her wish, and she says goodbye to Steve Trevor and she regains her power. And then in order to stop, she all of a sudden flies. She learns to fly. And not only fly, she takes her lasso and she swings and she lassos lightning in mid-air and goes from lightning to lightning like Tarzan from tree to tree. You know, at this point I stopped asking questions because why bother? I lost count at that point. And then at the satellite island, from the sky, Dinah flies down wearing her golden eagle armor. Now, how in the world did she know to change to that armor? Was she expecting a bigger fight? Because at that point of time, she only knows that Barbara was strong, but not a cheater. And why must the smart one always change to a villain? We've seen that kind of trope before. We saw it in Batman Returns when Selena Kyle was Catwoman, Maxwell Dillon turning to Electro in Spider-Man 2. In Batman Forever, it was Edward Enigma turning into the Riddler, and in Suicide Squad, it was Harley Quinn. Why do they keep doing this? So Cheetah fights Dinah, Dinah fights Cheetah, and then Cheetah rips Dinah's golden armor like tissue paper. Now this is where I have a problem. They explain in the comic books that Cheetah's claws are enchanted. They have spells, so they can rip anything to shreds. You mean to tell me that I have to read the comics to know that, so that I can accept her ripping it to shreds? Then why bother for her to actually wear the golden armor so she goes to fight Cheetah and the thing's redundant? I mean, the world building is just lazy. You just can't do a fact from a movie and then expect people to go and see it in the comics. It's like you're making the 3 Lord of the Rings films and you never once explained that the ring is dangerous and why Sauron needed the ring, and you want the audience to read 4,000 pages of the Lord of the Rings before coming to see the film. That is just lazy writing. Patty Jenkins, don't ever write again. I'm sorry, that is absolutely horrible and is inexcusable. So as far as I know at this point, Wonder Woman is just pathetic. She just got her powers back and she is defeated by Cheetah, and the only way to deal with Cheetah is to electrocute her. Then why bother to go and get the golden armor just to tease fans in the posters? And I'll tell you why. It's a marketing gimmick. It's just to shove it in the film, something new, so the audience would just come. So after a fight in the water, Dinah electrocutes Cheetah and she sleeps so conveniently. And she tries to stop Maxwell Lord from broadcasting his wishes. And she tries to lasso him. And the lasso just can't get him because the lasso is stopped by a strong gust of wind. Wind? Really? Is that the best you can come up with? It's not like Maxwell Lord transformed into a monster. It's wind. Then miraculously the lasso hooks onto Maxwell Lord's ankle and Dinah can send her wishes to the world through the satellite to tell everyone in the world to renounce their wish.
Stop! Cut the signal! Stop!
Or frightened, or powerless. Because you're not the only one who imagined a world where everything was different.
So the story ends with everyone renouncing their wish, the whole world becomes good again, and Dinah walks in the snow and the man that she used to sleep with as Steve Trevor flirts with her, and Dinah smiles at a red balloon in the sky.
So many things.
Oh, goodness gracious, it's just one word. I will give this film a D. D for disappointing. It wasted 2 hours and 35 minutes of my time. It played with my intelligence, my hope of a better film. I mean, it was trying to go on the original Wonder Woman and Aquaman that was really good. They were a good, decent film, but this ranks within the same ranking as Batman vs Superman or the horrible Justice League. Now Wonder Woman 84 is perhaps the worst sequel ever in the DC universe. 1984 has plot holes so big that you can drive a truck through. I mean, it's just bad. I'll give you 2 examples among the many that I have. The first is, in the first Wonder Woman, the Queen forbade Dinah to train as a warrior.
She is a child, the only child on the island. There will be no training.
When she was a small girl. So how can the small little girl with absolutely no training at all beat the strongest warriors in the match? The first movie, the Queen was very protective of Dinah, and yet she was okay with her running around in the obstacle course almost getting killed? It makes no sense. Second point, in Batman vs Superman, Dinah told Bruce Wayne that she walked away from mankind 100 years ago, hiding her powers and her secret identity.
100 years ago, I walked away from mankind. From a century of horrors. Men made a world where standing together is impossible.
Then explain to me how in 1984 she can parade herself in front of so many people, hundreds of people, saving so many lives, and also broadcast her voice via satellite to the whole world, then ask them to reunite and renounce her wish. She exposed herself in 1984, and to make matters worse, she flew in 84. Then why didn't she fly in Batman vs Superman or Justice League? It's so infuriating. Wonder Woman 1984 could have been a compelling story, but the film is guilty of trying to do too much with too little. Overstuffed plot, and it's guilty of confusing the audience with the character or the lack of character motivation. Okay, the old Wonder Woman, the first one, was good because it was Wonder Woman coming out from her sheltered existence to the real world. Now this sequel has none of it. Wonder Woman is still a hero, which I think a very good superhero. It's a superhero that we need in today's modern world. Someone that will fight for the weak and labor for a stronger tomorrow. But this is not what we're getting. I'm going to rate this a D as disappointing, and also a D for don't bother seeing. It's utterly a disappointment. It shouldn't have ever be made. Well, that's my review for Wonder Woman 1984. I hope you guys have enjoyed this review. It was a good therapy session for me. And as usual, click like if you like this review. Subscribe to my channel if you would like to see more reviews. And come back to the screen room anytime. The room is always open. Bye bye.